Welcome, everybody, to our webinar this afternoon. We're going to be talking about some new Engage plans, fees, and a new feature that we're calling Fee Assist. My name is Alex Clay, and I am the CEO of Saran Systems. With me, I have Chris Widener from our marketing department. Chris will be assisting to help with questions at the end. We will have a Q&A to follow this. We have quite a bit of information to cover today. So I would appreciate, note your questions. We may come back and answer them in a later section, and we'll do all those questions together at the end. Before we get too far into this, I'd like to call out our new Saran Help Center that we came out with a little earlier this year. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of good information today. Pretty much everything is covered on help.saran.com. I will show you a little bit later where to get to that information. So if you see some numbers and things flying by the screen, don't worry about catching every single detail. All of that is on the Help Center, and again, will be in the recording. And again, thank you all for joining us. For those here on the webinar, make sure you stick around to the end, because we actually have a couple of special promotions that we're offering to everyone that attended today. We have two special webinar promotions, and I'll get into the details of those at the end of today's webinar. So what will we be talking about today? Well, we have three major announcements. We have new plans for our Engage product. We have something we call flat rate fees, and a new feature coming out next month called Fee Assist. And I'm going to walk you through all of these. If you already have Engage, you should have received an email from us last week announcing not only this webinar, but the various changes that we are putting into place. If you didn't receive that email, contact us at sales at cdmplus.com, and we'll be happy to give you those details again. We send out lots of emails, information about your plans, about upcoming events, webinars, and so on. So if you're not getting those from us, just give us a call and make sure we've got a good email address for you. So with these changes, which we'll spend the afternoon talking about, we had several goals that we wanted to accomplish. First, we want to make sure that Engage, CDM Plus, the products that you and services you get from Saran, are offering you the best value that they can. And there's two ways we can do this. One is we can hopefully save you a little bit of money. I know that it's sort of an uncertain time financially speaking right now. We're all sort of keeping things under close scrutiny week by week, month by month. It's a little hard to forecast where things are going to be for attendance and financial support. We've heard from many people that things are going well. We've heard from some that things are a little tight, and they're having to look at where they can streamline their costs. So with today's announcement, I'm happy to say that most people using Engage are actually going to save a little bit of money on at least their monthly fees. And we'll talk about how you could even save some money on your individual transactions. Value is also a measure of what you get for the money that you spend. So we're very happy to offer for everybody more features for what you already have in Engage. So these changes are going to save you some money, give you some more features, but we're also hopeful that these changes will help increase the donations that you receive. Now that could be using our Fee Assist feature that we'll discuss, helping you to actually get 100% of the gift that your givers want to give you. But by getting new features like text giving, that's now available to everyone that has sort of the Engage Complete tier, there are more ways that people can interact and offer their support for your work. So hopefully that will also increase the donations that you receive. And the third goal that we had with these changes was to try and simplify things. For those of you that might know me, I worked in our development team for the majority of my time at Saran, and I bring some of those tenets of trying to reduce complexity and simplify things into our general operation, pricing, and so on. So being able to simplify the pricing for Engage, simplify the number of fees that you see each month, make it easier to explain and understand, that's right up my alley, and I think everyone will definitely appreciate having some more simplified pricing. So that's what we are hoping to accomplish with these changes. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get in and talk about exactly what we're changing and what we're announcing today. And we're going to begin with new Engage plans. I don't want to spend a lot of time looking at kind of how things were because that's now in the past, but I want you to understand a little bit about what we're trying to do with our Engage plans. So previously, Engage was priced out by how much of the product you wanted to use. There's a number of things up on the screen here. All of these are different elements that you could purchase piece by piece depending on what you have. While this provided a great deal of flexibility, what it meant that it was very difficult for us to sort of explain, well, here's one cost and this is everything you get. It also creates what we call sort of a barrier to being deciding if you want to offer a new service or new piece of functionality. So if you're thinking, for example, about offering online registrations, maybe you have in-person worship services and you need people to sign up in advance to help manage your capacity, and you weren't doing that already, one of the things you had to think about is adding an additional $10 a month to be able to do that from Engage. So with these plans, you could pay anywhere from $5 a month to even $80 a month, depending on exactly what all you had. So this was sort of where we were coming from. And with these changes, I'm very, very happy to say that we've consolidated and reduced this down to just 3 individual options, hopefully very easy to understand. And I'm going to talk you through what each of these include. At the entry level, we have a package we're calling Engage Standard. It's $5 a month. Engage Payroll is $30 a month. And the Engage Complete plan is $45 a month. That's it. Those are the 3 that you have. I'll make a brief note here. These prices are given monthly. You can elect to renew on an annual basis if you'd like. To get your annual price, simply multiply the monthly price by 12. So Engage Standard is $60 a month, Engage Payroll a year, Engage Payroll is $360 a year, and Engage Complete works out to $540 for an entire year. So these are the 3 plans we have: Standard, Payroll, and Complete. What do these plans entail? Well, Engage Standard comes with sort of the initial level, and each of these plans build on top of each other. So at the entry level, you first get updatable profiles. This allows your members to log in to Engage, view the information that you have in CDM Plus, and even make updates. Put in a new phone number. If they move, they can put a new address, upload photos. Those changes save directly into CDM Plus and sync instantly. In fact, they don't even sync. It's all the same source between mobile and desktop and Engage. You get access to groups, online pictorial directories. They're searchable, they're secure. Only people that you give access to are able to see those. And giving history, even if you're not doing online giving with Engage, people can log in and they can view the contributions you have on file. So imagine somebody wanting to know, well, does the church have all of my contributions correct for this year so far? They can log in anytime and see that directly in Engage. So it's a great way to encourage people to sort of check and make sure the records are accurate, maybe save you a few extra phone calls in January when you've got a lot of things going on. That does not require online giving. Of course, it works directly with online giving very, very well. But if you're just putting in checks and cash, manually entering contributions, that's available for people to see with Engage Standard. Employee payroll is for anyone using CDM Plus to calculate and run their payroll. Your employees can log into Engage, and from there they can see year-to-date taxes, gross, net. They can see each of their individual payrolls, and they can download and print a pay stub. And this is completely self-service. So they can do it anytime they need to. If you have somebody looking to apply for a loan and they need the last 3 months of their pay stubs, you can log in and they can download that whenever they'd like. Calendars sync directly to the roommate portion of CDM Plus and appear in a week view, month view, and you can create as many of those as you'd like. A new feature that we are adding to our entry-level tier is the ability to do online registration as long as you don't need to accept a payment. So what that means is with the $5 a month plan, if you have the event registration program, you're able to add as many registration forms online as you'd like. You can use these for worship sign-up. You could use them to register for a Zoom-based Bible study. You have people that want to express interest in volunteering or helping out. You can create an online registration. As long as you don't need to accept payments, you can create as many of those as you'd like. If you do want to accept payments, that's part of the Engage Complete package. And for any of you that are associated or work with a Disciples of Christ regional office, the congregational profile is something specific to you. That's available by itself free of charge through the College of Regional Ministers, but that's also part of the Engage Standard package. All of that is $5 a month. Now, the next tier up is Engage Payroll, and it includes everything that I just talked about. You also get access to do payroll direct deposit. Now, if you're not doing payroll direct deposit and you use CDM Plus Payroll, this is a fantastic option for you to consider. This makes paying your employees very, very easy to do and very seamless. It integrates directly with CDM Plus Payroll and accounting. And because you now have access to that employee payroll from the Engage Standard, this gives you a very complete electronic payroll package. With payroll direct deposit, you simply calculate your payroll as you normally do in CDM Plus, but then you say, here are the payrolls that I would like to transmit. Here's the date on which I'd like these employees to be paid. Make it happen. And then it simply transfers at the correct time. What's great about this is that you end up with ledger entries that show the exact withdrawal from your bank account, and they line up penny to penny with what you see on your bank statement. So it's a very comprehensive, very effective package for doing direct deposit payroll right out of CDM Plus. The final piece, or the final tier, is Engage Complete. And as the name implies, this includes everything. $45 a month, you get everything that is in the standard tier. You get access to do the Engage Payroll, and this is where you get access to online giving, whether that's through for a guest, someone that's already in your database, one time, scheduled in the future, recurring. Any online giving is part of Engage Complete. This now includes text giving. So text giving works on top of Engage, allows people to text. We just released last month a feature where they can put their full breakdown into the text, and that flows directly into CDM Plus. Online registration, if you need to accept payment, let's say you've got a camp or you have some resources for materials and you need to have people make those payments, you can do that with Engage Complete. They can pay for the whole event, or they can do a partial payment and come back later through Engage and make payments on their existing registration. This works really well if you have larger events and people want to pay over time. Last year, we released a new feature in Engage called Online Billing. This works with accounts receivable in CDM Plus. So if you have a childcare facility, if you have a building that you rent out, if you do weddings and you want people to be able to pay for those sort of things online, you can do that directly through Engage with online billing. And it works really well if they are already making contributions or might begin to make contributions to your organization. All of their payment methods, their saved checking accounts and credit cards and so on, are linked between the two, and that flows directly into CDM Plus accounting. If you are associated with or work with a Church of God state office, there are two other features that are special for you. One is what we call Treasury Report ACH. So when churches report their treasury reports online, you can set up CDM Plus with their bank accounts, so their payment to your state office is automatically queued up and processed when you process those treasury reports. And if you have women's groups, you can do online women's reporting. This is something we've had for many years. And if you're interested in this feature, women's groups can go on and make their monthly or quarterly reports. They can make their payments. We'll be happy to talk to you about that and put you in touch with some state offices that are doing this already quite effectively. So these are the various options that you get with Engage. And you get all of these different features with these different tiers. So what are the requirements to be able to log into and access and sign up for these different packages? Well, the first requirement is that you have data hosting, or if you've purchased CDM Plus in the last 5 to 7 years, you probably have the software as a service plan, which is what we call SaaS. So you have to be hosted on our servers so we can ensure secure access to your data. Then you need to own or license the related CDM Plus program. So Engage Standard now gives you the access to do online registration, but you do need the event registration program to have access. The difference is you no longer need to now add an additional package of $10 a month to do those online registrations. Once you purchase registration, it lights up online registration, you're good to go. Another example would be Roommate. If you want to do the online calendars, you need to have the Roommate package. So how much do these cost? Well, SaaS is $20 a month for an additional program, And for a traditional license, which means you actually own a copy of the software, it's $400 to add the program. And then there's a monthly charge for support and hosting that's calculated on how many programs you own and how many users you have. This is variable, and you can talk to sales at cdmplus.com. They can give you any quote that you need. For most folks, it's going to be about $8.33 a month, kind of if you average the most popular configurations. So Engage builds on top of what we have in CDM Plus, and as you light up and activate more in CDM Plus, Engage is now able to take advantage and offer more features to you. So with these new plans, what are the benefits to you, whether you're currently an Engage subscriber or especially for our current subscribers? The first benefit you're going to get are savings. Most people are going to see savings a bit over $5 a month on average. The more Engage that you owned before, the bigger your savings is now, because we've bundled everything together. If you look at that email you got from us last week about a new way to engage, you'll see your specific savings there. If you have any questions, just contact sales. For any clients that are seeing an increase, for most people, it's $2 to $3 a month. But everybody is getting new features. So previously, it was maybe $5 a month to add text giving, $10 to add registration. Now all of that is bundled in, and you have access to those features. So again, Engage Standard, you now have access to online registration without payments. For Engage Payroll, if you were just paying a stewardship technology merchant fee before, $27.95 a month, that's now $30 a month, but you gain the access for your employees to log in and view their payroll at any time. And of course, if you have Engage Complete, you now get everything all included together. Another benefit is consolidated billing. So previously, stewardship technology would bill you $27.95 a month for your merchant account, and then you'd see another charge coming from Saran, either monthly or annually, for your Engage product. This is all now combined. So we are getting rid of that $27.95 a month to stewardship technology. That's simply built into the fee for Engage itself. So when do these changes go into effect? Beginning next month. So beginning next month, you will no longer see the $27.95 a month hitting your bank account. If you renew monthly, you'll see those new rates going into effect in October. If you renew annually, your next renewal will show these new Engage rates. So Engage plans, they go into effect next month. Most people are going to see some good savings. Everybody's going to see new features. And if you're not currently using Engage, this is a really, really good time to think about expanding your CDM Plus online, engaging your community, and taking advantage of everything that Engage has to offer. So those are the Engage rate plans that we are announcing. The next feature, or the next announcement, I should say, is what we call flat rate fees. And I know some of you are very excited to learn about this, because we've had some questions on the fees for Engage for some time. So we've been talking the first piece here about the Engage plans. Those are your monthly fee. That's essentially what you pay each month to have access to the Engage software. Flat rate fees relate to the individual fees for each donation or payment. So these are fees that are incurred whenever somebody transfers money, and actually either into your account or you pay that money back out, like with a payroll direct deposit. So they are fees that happen with each transaction. Currently, credit and debit card fees fluctuate. So if you have a $5 gift, the fees on that are higher than a $500 gift. Likewise, depending on the card that someone's using, they will fluctuate depending on how fancy that card is. If they've got something that gives the cardholder a lot of points or rewards or kickback, or has additional cash back, for example, the ability for the cardholder to have access to those perks, that currently is being passed on to you as technically the merchant. So fancier cards are going to have higher fees. So it's very difficult to know and predict, when someone is giving you a gift, how much of that you're actually going to receive. Flat rate fees, on the other hand, are consistent. It doesn't matter how much the gift is or the payment. It doesn't matter what kind of Visa they have or what kind of MasterCard. It's the same rate regardless. They do add a small percentage for ACH transactions. And I'm going to talk about this in pretty great detail here in a little bit, but that's another component of flat rate fees. I want to stress that flat rate fees are optional. If you are happy with the current fee structure, you don't have to move. If you'd like to move, you can do that today. It's really up to you. And we're going to try to give you all the information that you might need to make an informed decision. Now, if you are signing up for Engage Complete and you're getting a new merchant account, you will be using the flat rate fees. That is the standard going forward. Finally, flat rate fees, while they are optional, they are required to be able to offer the Fee Assist feature, which I'll be talking about last in the presentation. So currently, your ACH is a flat 30 cents. It doesn't matter if someone gives you $5 or $5,000, it's a 30-cent fee. The credit and debit card fees, as I said, they are variable. You can't really predict what those are going to be. As we have looked at actual transactions across all of our clients, they work out to about a 3.5% rate on average. But depending on your size of gifts and the cards that your givers are using, yours could be higher, it could be a little bit lower than that. Payroll direct deposit is actually, these fees are staying the same with flat rate, but I want to mention them here because they work a little bit differently. So with payroll direct deposit, every time you transmit a set of payroll, that's called a batch, and that costs $1. Then with that transmission, each transaction is an extra 30 cents. So what's a transaction? If you have 5 employees and they each have 1 bank account, that's 5 transactions. So 5 employees at 30 cents a transaction is $1.50. Add $1 for that batch, that's $2.50 you can pay to not have to worry about paper checks and be able to schedule payroll to go off later this week. You can just be done with it. If those employees maybe wanted to split their payroll, some of it's going to a health savings account, for example, or maybe to a separate account that they've set aside for their own savings. Each transaction to a bank account is a separate transaction. So it's really 30 cents for each bank account into which you're seeing a payment. So that's how payroll direct deposit is being charged. And that's not changing with flat rate. But the big change here is with the ACH and the credit and debit card. So under flat rate pricing, we move to this. Every transaction for an incoming gift or payment, there's a 30-cent base fee, and then there's a percentage that is calculated on the amount of the transaction. So for ACH, it's 30 cents plus 0.8% of that transaction. For Visa, MasterCard, and Discover, it's 30 cents plus 2.9% of the transaction. And American Express, 30 cents plus 3.5% of that transaction. And the payroll direct deposit stays the same. Again, $1 per batch plus 30 cents per transaction. There is no additional percentage on payroll direct deposit. So how do we know if these fees are a good deal? How do you evaluate if these are a good option? Well, there's 2 ways to kind of compare your fees. First, we can compare these flat rate fees to the market. We're very well aware that there's plenty of vendors out there with online donation, online payment software. So we want to make sure that we're right about where that market is. So we've put together something we call the online fee comparison. I'll show you that in a minute. So you can evaluate on your own, looking at what other vendors are advertising as their fees, to see where these flat rate fees fall within the market. And that's basically going to help you answer the question, are Saran's flat rate fees a good deal? The other way you want to compare flat rate fees is to understand how they work for your specific organization. Are they a good deal for you? And for that, we've put together something we call a personal fee analysis that will give you some very good insight into your specific activity. And I'm going to walk you through how that works. But first, let's start with sort of a market comparison. So we have something here we call the online fee comparison. And this is a resource on our Help Center. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, and I'll show you where to get to this here in a minute. But the online fee comparison kind of looks like this. So this is a resource that we've put together. We started doing some research earlier this summer, and we went to a number of other vendors for online giving, and we looked at their websites and we looked at their information, and we calculated and tallied what their fees were for ACH, for card, and then what their monthly fees were. So on this page, you can click any of these links and you can go to that vendor's website and find the figures that we pulled. We're not taking anything here off of hearsay or a client said, well, I got a quote like this. These are the published fees as we could find them, and you'll find the source right here for all these vendors. Now, comparing online giving is a little bit about like trying to buy a truck just based off of miles per gallon. There's so much more to the equation than just one metric. So you're looking at things like how integrated is your online giving solution? Are you getting locked into a contract? Is there any setup fee and that sort of thing? We want to try to give you the best tool you can to compare equivalent products, but just know that this is one dimension of sort of seeing where things are. But here we're really concerned with really just the fees, so that's what we focused on. For this monthly rate, a lot of our packages, and in fact sort of the Engage legacy was like this, you could pick and choose and add various options. What we've done is for all of these other vendors, and you'll see at the bottom of the page, we took anything that was required to make that product equivalent to Engage Complete. So if they have mandatory service fees or PCI compliance fees, if there's an extra charge for text giving, some have an extra monthly fee to offer ACH, and some have an extra monthly fee to have donors offset those fees. We included all of those to get to these monthly rates. And some vendors will have a range depending on either how many transactions you have, kind of what plan you buy into, and where possible we've listed that range here. While we're here, I do want to go ahead and point something out, and this has to do with the percentage on ACH. We have 25 other vendors listed on here, and of that list, where we could find it, at least 20 of them have a percentage on their ACH. So the additional 0.8%, for those of you that rely very heavily on ACH, that's going to seem like a bad deal. And I will reiterate, you don't have to go to flat rate fees. No one is forcing an extra 0.8% onto your donations. But this is something that our merchant account provider, Stewardship, and their parent company, Paya, proposed because they say it's fairly industry standard. When we got that proposal months back, I said, yeah, let's make sure that's true. And sure enough, as we did our own independent analysis, that's absolutely the case. There's the majority of online giving solutions have a percentage on ACH. So this is one of the more major changes, but it is fairly standard for the industry. So our hope with this page is that you can go through and you can compare and look at these Engage Complete fees and see that with the flat rate fee structure, we're pretty much right in the middle. We're not the absolute cheapest, we're not the most expensive, but you get a very comprehensive, solid product and a very fair rate on these fees. So this is a resource that you have available to you on the Help Center. And Chris, if you haven't already, we can go ahead and drop the link to this into the chat. So that's how you can sort of compare Engage flat rate fees to the market. What about for your organization? Well, this is where we put together something we call a personal fee analysis. And you should have received this in the email announcement you got last week. I'm going to walk you through exactly what's in here and how to read it. If you did not receive this fee analysis, simply email customerservice@saran.com and we will send you another copy. Make sure you tell us who you are. There's nothing especially personally identifying in that document, and that was very intentional. But we want to make sure that you are the right person asking for it. What this does is it looks at all the transactions that actually occurred for your online merchant account from September 2019 through August 2020. So we're analyzing not projections, but real hard data, transactions that did occur. And we're providing you an analysis based on the type of that transaction, the actual fees that were charged, and the net that you received. We then take those actual amounts and we run them through the new flat rate fee schedule so you can see if you were to take the actual activity from that 12-month period, if you were to switch to the flat rate fees, what would your fees and net be? And then we total that out for the month. So let me show you kind of how to read this. I've got 3 examples here. The first client over that 12-month period processed $1.2 million through Engage Giving. 33% of that came from ACH, credit checking and savings accounts. In the flat rate fee analysis, or in your personal fee analysis, you're going to see two tables that look like this. And I highly recommend you look at this in a fixed width font. They'll lay out really nicely. This first column here has the type, and that sort of breaks down the type of the payment. And let's start with this Visa line. All right, this client over the 12 months had 2,473 individual transactions paid via Visa. The fees on those were just under $17,000, you know, $16,998.23. That is what they actually were charged for these transaction fees. If they were using the flat rate fees, they would have only paid $14,634. And what that means is they would have saved over $2,000 in fees on their Visa transactions. This fee difference column, if that's negative, that's fewer fees. That's less fees that are coming out of the transaction, and that's more money into your organization's pocket. So that looks like a really good deal, right? Looking at these Visa. Well, this is where you need to think about that new 0.8% on the ACH. Let's take a look at their checking line. They didn't have quite as many gifts with checking. They still had quite a bit, in 33%. 1,745 transactions came from checking right here. The fees on that at a flat 30 cents were $523.50. Under the new flat rate schedule, they would have been paid $3,668.44 using the new 0.8%. So there's an increase there of $3,144 in fees on checking-based transactions. So what really matters here is how does all of that total up? And that's where this bottom line here will give you a total for all your different payment amounts. So in this case, you can see that if they had used a flat rate fee, if they had switched to flat rate fees based on their particular breakdown, they would have saved $762 over the course of those 12 months. Divide that out by 12, you get savings of about $63 a month. So if I were this client, I would switch to flat rate fees yesterday. That would save me a nice little bit of money, easily done. Let's look at another example. This client processed $119,000 of giving. They had 20% of their giving through the ACH. And again, they're seeing an increase on the checking line of $199.92. But by the time you tally everything out, they would have saved $93 over the course of the last 12 months, or saved about $7.79 a month. So it doesn't matter if you're processing $1 million or $100,000 or $1,000. What matters is your particular breakdown between cards and checking and how large those were and the kinds of cards that you might have been using. With flat rate fees, we can make that really predictable and easy to understand. So here's another client. I would say, yeah, it makes sense to switch. You're going to save $93, and there's really no detriment to doing it. But let's look at a third example. This client processed $712,000 over the 12-month period, and they had 52% of their contributions coming from ACH. In this instance, if they switched to flat rate fees, they would be paying $1,800 more over the course of the 12 months, or $151 more a month. This is a much harder situation to try and justify the flat rate fees. So for them, I'd say you probably want to stay where you are. The only downside to not switching to flat rate fees is that you don't have access to that fee assist feature, which we'll talk about in a minute. So because this is a highly situational decision, it's very specific to your actual transactions, we went ahead and made sure this personal fee analysis was available to everyone. So when you're trying to decide if flat rate fees are the right move for you, I recommend you start with that personal fee comparison. And if you have a higher percentage of cards, then yes, you're likely going to save some money right away. If you want a very predictable rate, if you have maybe someone on a finance committee or a vestry member or deacon that's like, these fees are crazy, what are they? And they get mad that you can't tell them what those fees are, you want to be able to say, sure, it's 30 cents plus 2.9%. Unless they're American Express, then it's 3.5. Maybe you got somebody who runs a business and they're very familiar with fee structures. That predictability has a value in and of its own right. So again, that may be a good reason to move. If you are 100% ACH, and we do have some clients that only accept donations via ACH, this is likely not a good move for you. It would incur quite a bit of additional expense with that extra 0.8%. But in the end, if you want to offer fee assist, then yes, flat rate fees are a good decision. So how do you go ahead and make that shift? And we've already had plenty of people trigger this process since we made the announcement last week. You download what we call a fee addendum, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. It's a one-page PDF. You put in your organization's name, initial where indicated, and you're going to email that to customerservice@saran.com. And make sure that both on the page and on the email, you indicate your location as well. So we have one or two First Christian churches and First Baptist churches. Make sure you put your city and state so we know that we've got the right one there. This is what the fee addendum looks like. Chris will put the link to this in the Zoom. It's also on the Help Center page, and it's also in the email that you got last week. But if you need this and can't find it, just drop us an email, give us a call. We'll be happy to send it along. All this does is spell out the fees that I gave you today. You're simply saying, yes, this is what I want to use, and we'll send that. Stewardship will make the change, and then we'll let you know you're good to go using flat rate fees. So that is what, that's basically the flat rate fee option that is available starting today. The final piece we want to announce is something we call Fee Assist, and we've had requests for this for years. Fee Assist essentially allows your donors to help offset the transaction so that you receive 100% of their gift that they intend you to get. We've been unable to offer this because until now, we didn't know what the fees were at the time of the donation. So by negotiating with stewardship to make this flat rate fee available, we've now settled down to those fees. We know when the donation is going to happen, what those fees will be, and we can now build this fee assist. And we're very excited to build it. I know a lot of people are very excited to use this. Fee assist is available on donations, whether that's online, recurring, or even text giving. Online registration, online billing already have a similar feature that lets you add basically a processing fee to help offset. What Fee Assist does is it uses the flat rate fees to calculate what those transaction fees will be at the time of the gift. It then automatically increases how much that giver is going to pay so that your organization receives 100% of that gift. Fee Assist is optional for you. It is optional for your donors, and it is coming next month. We're still putting all the development in place to make this happen. So I'm going to give you an example kind of here of how this works. So the donor is going to check a box when they make their gift that says, I would like to assist with the fees for this donation. Engage figures out what those are going to be. The donor pays that, and you get the full amount. First example here, let's say we've got an ACH gift of $200. Without Fee Assist, that giver says, I want to give $200. They're going to pay $200. That's what they'll see coming out of their checking account. You're going to receive $198.10 of that gift. And that's how it works today. With Fee Assist, the donor says, I want to pay $200, and yeah, I'd like to help out with the fees on this. Their checking account is going to be debited for $201.92, but you will receive that full $200 in your bank account. Here's another example. Visa gift of $50. The giver says, I want to pay $50. Here's my Visa debit card. You're going to receive $48.25 of that gift. With Fee Assist, they're going to see a charge of $51.80 to that Visa, and you receive the full $500. That's basically how this works. So when we're calculating the amount to actually put on the Visa or the credit card or charge the donor, we use this formula. Now, you don't have to know this. I just want you to know what it is. So there's no questions or anything magical about it. We simply take the gift, add 30 cents, and divide it by 1 minus whatever the rate is. Again, that'll be 0.8 for ACH, 2.9 for all the credit cards except American Express, which is 3.5. Essentially, if you were paying close attention, you might have noticed that in my $200 example, without Fee Assist, the organization gets $198.10. So there's $1.90 in fees. With Fee Assist, the donor paid $201.92. So there's $1.92 in fees. That's because we have to basically cover the fees on the fees. And Engage does this math for you, because when that donor says, I want to help with the fees, we want to make sure you get $200. We don't want you to get $199.98. If the donor wants to give you $200, we want to make sure you get $200. The amount is automatic. There's no option to round it up or round it down or set what that is. Of course, the donor can always adjust the amount of their gift if they would like to do that. And again, flat rate fees are really what make this possible because we know the rate at the time of the gift. Currently, we don't know what the fees are on your gifts until they have what's called settled into your bank account, until 2 business days later when we've received those. So how do fee assists sort of work back in CDM Plus after that gift is given? Well, to set up fee assist, you're going to create a giving fund, a fee assist giving fund. And this is part of your setup. The contribution that is recorded has the donor's intended gift plus an additional breakdown line to the fee assist giving fund. So that example of $200 where the donor ends up paying $201.92, they're going to see a contribution of $201.92. And those fee assist fees are tax deductible to that donor. So you should definitely lean on that when you're advertising this feature. They're not eliminating the fees. All they're doing is saying, here's a little bit of extra income to help offset the overhead, your operating expenses, to be able to receive gifts electronically. So in accounting, again, you still have the fees. The fees are not going away. You're transferring money electronically. There are fees. That's simply just how this works. But they are offset by extra income to the fee assist giving fund, making it where you receive 100% of that intended gift. So your ledger entry with a fee assist gift is going to look something like this. I've got a $200 gift coming into my checking account. You received all of it. I still have $1.92 in transaction fees going to an expense account. But I see $200 to my general income, and I see $1.92 to my fee assist income account to help offset those fees to the expense. So I want to be very, very clear here. We tend not to offer financial advice. We're not CPAs, but there's a right way to do accounting. And I want everyone to know the fees aren't going away. So make sure that you're not trying to do something fancy and reverse the debit to your transaction fee expense account by sticking that as the income for your fee assist. You should still see fees going through your balance sheet. You're just going to see a little more income to help offset that. So this is essentially how fee assist donations end up in the ledger. So how do you turn this on? This sounds great. Well, the first thing you have to do, as I said, is switch to flat rate fees. That lets us calculate what those fees are going to be. You'll also need to be on CDM Plus 11.1. That's currently in beta. The final release is coming out this fall. So whichever of those are the current version, when fee assist is ready, that's what you'll need to update to. And just wait for us to announce that fee assist is ready to go. We're still doing some back-end development to make sure all of that's in place, and that will be coming out. We're targeting October. You'll need to create a fee assist giving fund. You can do that now, or you can do that whenever fee assist is ready to go, and then you turn it on. Just go to your Engage Giving setup, turn on fee assist with that giving fund, and make sure you promote this to your donors. You know, it's not expected, but it's much appreciated. If you want to check that box, make sure we get 100% of the donation you want to give us. So that's pretty much it. A lot of setup, and then it's just right there, part of the gift. And again, it's optional for you to turn on. If you don't want this, don't turn it on. And it's optional for your donors. If they don't want to participate, they don't have to. Those are the 3 main things we're talking about today. And I want to take a minute, as I said, to show you where all this information is over on the Saran Help Center. So if you go to your browser and you key in help.saran.com, you're going to go here to the Saran Help Center. And all this information is here under Engage. When I click Engage, right at the top, we've got this featured article on the Fall 2020 Engage Plan updates. We also, at the bottom here, you'll see here's the online giving fee comparison, and that same page highlighting these updates. This was the link that was in the email you got last week. So this page for the Engage Fall Plan updates, what you'll see here at the top, once this webinar has been edited, posted up, you'll see a recording of the webinar right here. But this page has lots of good information that explains everything about the new plans, talks about flat rate fees, and talks about fee assist. And over on the right here, you'll see various questions. So if you want to know how do the flat rate fees compare to legacy fees? I can click that and it'll tell you exactly how they change. So this is all available over on the Saran Help Center, and just get to that by going to help.saran.com. Now, we've been going here for about 45 minutes. Thank you all for sticking with me. We're almost to the Q&A because I imagine you've got some questions. But as I said at the top of the webinar, we've got a couple of promos, and both of these are very specific to this webinar to try and get people up and going on some of the new things we've announced today. And these are available for the next couple of weeks. And the sales team would love to talk to you about how they fit into your services. So 2 promos. Webinar special promo number 1. If you are not currently using Engage, and I know there's some people who registered for this webinar that aren't using Engage yet, we're going to give you any Engage plan you want, whether that's $5 a month standard to $45 a month complete, or you just want to try payroll. If you are not using Engage currently, you can sign up, and that's free for the first 2 months. Now, one of the requirements to being on Engage is that you have data hosting. So if you've been thinking about moving to the cloud and offering these options, we will include your hosting at no charge for the first 2 months. Again, if you're not currently on hosting or currently using Engage. Again, any new enrollment is able to take advantage of this. So drop the promo code to Engage, and that's valid through October 2nd, which is basically 2 weeks from tomorrow. So we've got a couple of weeks here for you to get online and start using Engage, and you're not going to see any charges from us for that for the first couple of months. The second promo is more about letting you do more with Engage. So we are offering a discount to add new programs. If you've been thinking about registration, if you've been wanting to offer online registration, if you've been thinking about a formal facility management tool that with online calendars like Roommates, we want to make it easier for you to add those new programs. So if you're a software as a service user, a SaaS user, that's normally $20 a month. You can add any new program, and that's free for the first 3 months. If you are a traditional user and you want to add something like online registration, normally it's $400 to add that product. We're cutting that in half. You can add that program for $200. And again, that's valid for the next 2 weeks. So we've talked to a lot of people that said, wow, I'd really like to do online registration, but then I go to the powers that be and I say it's $400 up front. And they come back and say, yeah, it's kind of hard to swing. Well, how does $200 sound? We're going to cut that in half. Hopefully that's a good deal. Check with sales, because adding an additional program will slightly increase your hosting and support, and they can give you those exact features. Now, for these, I do have to say, you need to have an Engage subscription. We're not just, putting a discount here on registration. We really want you to use these programs to light up all the features in Engage. So you can definitely combine these two. If you're thinking about adding Engage, or you're thinking about adding online registration, don't have anything going with Engage right now, the first promo, you can get Engage Standard, normally $5 a month. We give you the first couple of months free. Normally you'd have to pay, maybe $400 for your registration. That's $200 right there. And you can combine those together. So we came up with a promo code DOMORE20. And again, that's valid for the next 2 weeks. So those are 2 promos that are available to anyone in the webinar. And yes, for those of you at home that are watching the recording on YouTube, this is valid for you as well, as long as you don't look at your clock and see that it says October 3rd. It's only through October 2nd. So that's everything I have to share today. We'll move over to the Q&A section. And again, thank you all very much for your time. I hope all of this helped make things very clear. Definitely call and talk to our sales team if you have specific questions we didn't answer today, but hopefully we can get some other questions answered. So Chris, who do we have first?
Looks like we have Shelly. Do you have a question for Alex?
Yes. Our church only uses ACH transactions, no credit cards. So the flat rate would probably not benefit us.
Almost definitely not. You would see an extra 28%.
They have been asking for this fee assist kind of thing for years. And I guess I'm not understanding why that couldn't be enabled for us, since we know that it will be 30 cents. That's what that transaction will cost.
Right. So essentially what we're doing is we're tracking whether or not you're on one plan or the other, whether you're on the legacy fee schedule or the flat rate fee schedule. And we're building in the fee assist to work just for the new flat rate schedule. That's a decision we made to say this is part of going to include the flat rate. Now, if you have really good interest from your donors in participating in that fee assist, if that's something they really want to do, then what I'd recommend you do is say, look, if most of you want to do this, we can shift to flat rate and you'll still see an increase in your net funds that you receive.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions?
There we go. Maria, do you have a question?
I wondered if the fee analysis can be done for a different time period, because since we started the COVID shutdown, our online giving has changed a lot. So 6 months would be a better comparison for us than the full year.
Sure. Yeah. If you'd like to see a copy of that, just send an email. You can probably just email. Why don't you email support@cdmplus.com and ask if you could get a fee analysis for 6 months, and I'll be happy to run that for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Kim, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. I currently utilize payroll direct deposit through our bank, so not through CDM. So I just want to clarify that if I chose to add that on, or not add that on, it would be included because we're going to switch over to the Engage Complete based on what we currently have. So with the fees that Alex described, that are for each of the transactions, and batches, etc., is there anything else? I don't have to switch to the fee, the flat fees. That's what I really wanted to clarify.
No, that's correct. So the only, do you already have, do you know if you have a merchant account for doing online giving?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So at that point, you're basically just adding the payroll components. And so there's no reason you can't add that and keep the legacy fee schedule.
Okay. So then I'll contact sales, but is there an additional cost for me to add that other than those transaction fees?
Not at all. So anyone that's using Engage Complete, all you have to do is fill out an addendum. You basically include a couple of, all the instructions are there. You include a little bit of information, and then we reactivate your database and you're able to use payroll direct deposit. And the only cost to it is those transaction fees.
Okay. So set up as far as everything with the bank accounts for our employees is already set up, there shouldn't be any additional, it should be a seamless transfer.
Yeah, essentially what you do is you go to the employees who want to receive a direct deposit and you mark them as auto draw, and you may already have that. And then on their employee record, you put in the bank account and routing number.
Yep.
And then from that's it. So it sounds like you're using our, the older ACH.
Right. I'm using that feature. I'm just using it. I'm using our bank. I have been for several years now. I didn't realize it was available.
Yeah, no, your setup is ready to go.
Okay. All right. Then that was my question. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome.
Ruth, did you have a question?
Yes, I just wanted to verify that. So I went and took a look at our billing for the last several months, and the $27.95 from stewardship is there. That goes away when we move to Complete.
Yes.
So it's really whatever we were paying you and whatever we were paying them is that $45.
Correct. So
that's just what I wanted to verify.
Yeah. So when we're if you looked at that email and we gave you what your current cost was, that included the $27.95 because once you get that this month in September, that's the last one. You won't see those anymore starting next month.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rita, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you. I just have a few, I think they're very quick questions. The first one is this new fees, the 45 for the Complete. Is that automatic or do we sign up for that as well?
That's automatic.
Okay, all right. So based on if we already had text giving or whatever, we'd automatically go into that.
Correct.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, and then the other one is you talked about that that report, you know, with the analysis, which looked fantastic. I'd love to see it. I looked through my email. I'm not sure. So you already sent it to each one of us, our own individual report. Is that what you said?
Yes, yes. So you would have received an email last week that said, you know, a whole new way to engage and talked about some of these changes.
Okay,
And
and
found that
what email address would have it come from?
I believe that came from sales@cdmplus.com.
Okay, I'm going to look for that, sales at CDM Plus. And if not, I'll email support at CDM Plus, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, okay. And I like the idea that someone brought up with the 6 months report as our situation changed as well. So I'll email for that one no matter what. And then I think just 2 quick more questions. Software as a service, SaaS, how do I know if I have that or traditional, and does it even matter?
So essentially, if you were to open up CDM Plus and go to the About screen, it's under File on Windows or CDM Plus on the Mac, and click on the Serialization tab, you'll see at the top there if it says SaaS or traditional.
Okay. All right. So I'll just out of curiosity. And the last thing is you talked about the giving history that people can log in. And I know they've been able to do this for a while to look at their giving history, even if they don't use Engage. Have you added the feature where they can look at their history compared to their pledges? Because that's what we get all the time. They want to know how much have they paid against a pledge. Do you have that now?
Not yet. It just shows their individual donations, but I would very much like to and probably expect to add the ability not just to see where you are on your pledge, but basically pledge, to create the pledges through Engage. That's something that is on our development roadmap.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
You're
That's
welcome.
all I had.
See, Bertina, do you have a question?
So if we were to enroll in the Engage flat rate fee, would it be possible for us to get another analysis like you sent us so that I could see like next year if it was better? You know what I'm saying? That's a one-time kind of thing that you did.
It's really a one-time, and the issue with that is that because the fees are variable, I don't know what they would have been if you weren't using flat rate.
Okay. I just was wondering, like, okay, so I'm trying to determine, like, when we switch over to flat rate and we see that it's better when I look at the analysis and we use it for 1 year, and it would be, you know, not kind of nice to go back and look and see the breakdown. But
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So a couple of things, and it says it on the Help Center. I didn't mention it during the webinar. Moving to flat rate is a one-way decision. Once you move to flat rate, that's it. You're on the flat rate plan.
Okay.
And essentially, one other thing is CDM Plus 11.1 that's in beta right now adds a feature in contributions where you can see the fees that were incurred on any online gift, and that works whether you're on the legacy structure or on the flat rate fee structure.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Carolyn, do you have a question?
Yes, we just signed up for this during the COVID with the special offering to get going in a hurry. And we've never seen a charge from Stewardship Technology, which I'm not complaining, but I didn't remember if that should have kicked in by now. So we had I thought it was 3 months free, but maybe it was 6 months.
Yeah, and I think pretty much so part of that 3-month free or that to get started was to waive the monthly fees from Stewardship. And it somewhat depends on when you signed up. At the same time, actually, we started talking with Stewardship about flat rate fees last year sometime. So as this became more of a definite, what they did is essentially just rolled that forward. And didn't start charging a fee that was about to go away.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Okay. And then again, because of that time frame, will our personalized report be meaningful if we weren't using it most of the last 12 months? Or will there still be a monthly amount that's relevant for those months?
Yeah, no, it's going to be relevant for all the online donations that you've received. You know, it just kind of
Not averaging out over a 12-month period, even though we weren't using it for 12 months.
correct. It's you're not
Okay.
having zeros dropping your grade or anything like that. Probably about the only thing is you wouldn't have seen, you know, if you normally get a spike around Christmas time during a sort of a normal year, you wouldn't see what that activity might have looked like. But of course, you know, then the pandemic hit and everything kind of shifted a little bit in terms of those trends.
Right. Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Mary, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. My question is about the fee assist. How does that affect people who have already created a recurring contribution in Engage? Will they get a chance to do fee assist, or how does that work? Does that only kick in for new contributions?
Absolutely. So a good question, a good a related question, and I'll try to answer them together, is how does that work for text giving? So, you know, you might have people say, well, is it going to ask you an extra question every time? Do you want to assist with the fees? The way that we're planning to build this with the initial feature is that when you log into Engage, you'll have an option under your giving profile to say, enable fee assist for text giving and recurring gifts. And so that'll be sort of across the board automatically. And so that way, you know, you can go and just turn that on. Anyone who already has on existing recurring gifts, that fee assist will start to activate on their gifts going forward. If there's interest in being able to turn that on and off for specific recurring gifts, I'd love to hear about those sort of the reasons and the situation there, and we can evaluate if that makes sense to add as well. But yes, the short answer is people can absolutely enable that for their existing recurring gifts once that's available.
So would they have to set up a text gift then, is what I'm hearing?
No. So essentially what I'm saying is it's a sort of account-wide setting that they can go on and set up. So for all my recurring gifts and text giving, enable fee assist.
Okay, so the next time that somebody with a recurring gift would log in, they would see that option.
Correct.
Okay, and if they did not log in, if they just let the contribution recur, they would never see that. So basically, if they've had them set up and they haven't logged in, and they don't log in after this becomes available, you'll just continue to receive their donation minus the fees. No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, for anyone still there, again, I greatly appreciate your time this afternoon, and I hope everyone has a good rest of the day. And I don't know if you're anywhere like it is here in Central Kentucky. Fall is knocking on the door, which is always my favorite time of year. But again, thank you for attending this webinar. We'll send you a link to view it. If you have any other questions, you can stick around and ask, or contact us at sales or support. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day and takes care and stays safe.